Healers. It sounds like such a big word with big connotations, almost untouchable. Through my journey of becoming a shiatsu practitioner, the people and teachers who inspired me all had one common thread. They made extraordinary concepts seem ordinary. They were all down-to-earth people, and a lot of the time they were grafters who had to work hard at their craft. Some I think are born with a gift, and others aren't, but they all work on honing their skills. However, they have this power to help people to heal. One thing is for sure, their stories are amazing. Today I'm talking to Emma Henderson, Reiki healer, angel card reader and psychotherapist. Amongst other things, we talk about how she got into her profession and what made her decide to move to France to do distance healing. Hello, Emma.
Hi, Lynn. How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
Good. Good to talk to you.
You too. Thanks for coming to talk to me tonight.
No problem.
So, Emma, just tell me a little bit about your background.
So I'm a Reiki master, practicing about 14 years. I'm a psychotherapist, probably about fully qualified about 6 years. And I've been doing angel card readings probably about 10. And I've been set up a little place in Donaghbeg called the Healing Room. And now I'm trying to do more and more of that online due to the current situation. So.
Okay. And just how did you get into Reiki?
So the first time I heard about Reiki, or I read about it in a magazine article when I was living in London, and whatever about the article, it seemed to jump out of the page at me. So I decided that it was something I'd like to try. I didn't know what it was. I knew it was an alternative therapy. None of my friends had talked about it. So I said, right, I'll just try this. And I knew there was a center near to where I worked. So I just called in and tried it. I hadn't a clue what to expect. But after the first session, I felt amazing. I had a lovely therapist and did that a few times with her. And then when I was in Canada, I tried it again. You know, anxiety, moving to a new country, you know, that was really helpful. And then when I moved back to Ireland, I had a few more sessions, and then it was suggested to me, why don't I train in it? So I did level 1, and that was great. And I think once you get into this world, you just seem to want to do more and more courses, as you probably know yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And so then I went on to do Reiki level 2, Reiki level 3. I did it over a couple of years. And then I think I learned angel card readings, you know, how to read the cards. Somewhere along the way, I did a psychic development course. I think I just lapped up everything.
Okay.
And probably shortly after that, I became a Reiki master. I decided to set up the Healing Room just to see what would happen. And I did that, and I worked part-time in an office job, and then I tried to set up the other stuff on the side. And that worked for a couple of years. And then it started to get busier with clients coming to me with things that I wasn't trained for in the Reiki world.
Yeah.
So I think just more and more the clients, they kept coming back, and they just seemed to push me. I said, I need to know more about how to hold space for people who were traumatized, who were telling me big things that, you know, maybe they should be telling a counselor. So I felt I needed to have counseling skills to feel professional. So I went in 2012, I began a psychotherapy course and then qualified. So that's how it all came together there.
Yeah. So, and it sounds like such a big thing, like, oh yeah, I did a psychotherapy course, but obviously it was a huge undertaking.
It was a huge undertaking.
Yeah.
And I wish I'd done a weekend course rather than a 5-year course.
In hindsight.
In hindsight. However, I'm qualified as a psychotherapist, and you know, I do feel confident to hold space for people, and I, you know, no matter what issue people bring, I feel, you know, obviously I don't have all the answers, but at least I can hold space to, you know, be there to listen in a professional capacity. So it was a long and tough course, but I'm glad I did it, because now in the Reiki sessions, you know, sometimes it's a half-hour Reiki session, half-hour counseling session, but with the person who's fully qualified. And for me, it really assisted and helped with the sessions I was already providing.
Because I have thought, I haven't thought about doing psychotherapy, but I have thought when things come up in the treatment room, because you're really not, well, I'm really not qualified. So I definitely would always refer people on. But yeah,
Yeah.
it was such a huge undertaking to go and do it yourself. So it's such a brilliant skill to bring to the Reiki.
Yeah, well, I felt just people were looking to me as a professional, but I was like, I'm just a Reiki practitioner, which is good in itself. But for me, whatever the universe was sending me were clients who were kind of pushing me to learn more, how to, be professional. And I'm glad I did it. Because I think you do shiatsu, people do come in and sit down and start to cry, and you're like, how should I manage this?
Yeah.
And now I'm like, I'm not afraid of, I'm like, it's part of their healing process. And, whatever comes up at the end, also everything's private and confidential. So they can feel they can trust somebody, because, people come to Reiki and come to treatments like this when they're stressed or when they've exhausted every other avenue.
Mm-hmm.
And, sometimes Reiki is the first place they've ever told somebody something. And, sometimes I do refer them on, and, I feel I have the skills to know, right, you need to go to this counselor or this particular specialty. Any little course will help if you're thinking of yourself to do it. Just any sort of counseling skills to hold space and, make people feel calm and comfortable to speak. But
Mm-hmm.
it depends on what direction you want your own to go.
So you've talked about, obviously you did the Reiki first and then you went on to do card readings. Obviously when you did Reiki, you would have had to work on your intuition a bit. And I presume then with the cards, do you think that came quite naturally to you in intuition, or do you think you worked on it or it came to you through Reiki and maybe card reading?
It developed with Reiki. When I did the Reiki qualification, I don't think we really worked a lot on intuition. We worked on the practical side, bringing in the energy. And I think I needed more help around the stuff that was coming in, because, in the course, it didn't cover, like if I was working on somebody, I'd get a vision in my head. I'm like, is that mine? Where did that come from? What's that? Is that a dream? So for me, I did a psychic development course, partly to help me understand what was already coming in the session. And for me, it was, I would say, oh, I can see a dog in my mind's eye. I'm like, I don't know why I'm seeing a dog. So I'd say to the client and they'd say, I've just lost my dog. And I was like, okay, was it a small brown dog? So that, relaying back to the client. And I think, doing the different courses helped me have confidence to say to a client, I'm feeling this. Or I'd say, listen, I have a strong pain in my stomach when I'm working with you. So I would then relay that to the client. But I don't know if that was generally taught in the Reiki class.
Okay.
But I think the Reiki brought up sensitivities that were already there. And I think with a lot of people, it's, tuning in and tuning out. And I had to learn a lot of ways to know, is this my stuff or is it the client's stuff? So I worked a lot on that with different courses, like tuning in. Like for example, the other day I was doing a distance Reiki session. And before the session, I felt really nauseous. And I was like, oh my God, have I eaten something today? Is it me? So I continued through the distance Reiki session, and then the nausea lifted. So I was like, I don't think that was my stuff. So I said it to the client, who was distance Reiki. They weren't in the room, and he said, yes, I was actually very sick today. So that helped me understand, what was my stuff and what was their stuff by relaying it back to them, because sometimes you just never know. But I'm still learning, and I'm still trying to understand the boundaries of what's yours and what's theirs.
Okay. And do you think then when you did psychotherapy that improved your intuition, or is it a bit different?
I think it's a bit different, but definitely helped me learn about boundaries and about learning about different clients. Like, for example, I did have some clients who were borderline personality disorders, or had, different things that sometimes my work doesn't work with them, and knowing my boundary and the limits of what I can provide, and not feeling guilty, because as a healer or as a therapist, you want to feel like you can help everybody, but sometimes you can't, and it's not your job. It's with the psychotherapy, it helped me learn my boundaries, what I expect from a client and what I ask a client to expect from me. And, I expect the boundary is I expect them to turn up every week and show up and do the work. But if they're not doing it, then there's the boundary there. I'm like, well, I can't help. Also knowing, for my own, I turn up on time, I expect them to turn up on time. That's a boundary as well. So with the psychotherapy, yeah, it did help me develop confidence in knowing what a boundary is, and
Okay.
the limits of what I can do, and also knowing that sometimes the people that come to you after a few sessions, knowing that, listen, I'm not the right person, there's other things that you should work on, and I can refer them on to something more specialized, instead of feeling like I'm a failure, I didn't help them. That's not, sometimes the best thing is to, highlight where they can work on and work with someone else that's better. So yeah, boundaries, psychotherapy definitely helped learn boundaries, time constraints, and also commitment to the process.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. It's interesting there you talk about boundaries and how you can refer people on, because it is our profession, isn't it? And sometimes, it's not as easy to think, okay, no, I can't do this, I have to refer them on, because it is your wage, say, at the end of the day, but you do have to be able to refer them on and realize when you can't treat them. You can't you don't suit everybody, and everybody isn't going to suit you. So yeah, it's interesting, to be aware of that.
Yeah. And yeah, when you're with the client, sometimes you can feel like, oh, this isn't my skill set, but I do know somebody who this would be their perfect skill set. And, for a client, nobody likes to be referred on again, but, they've taken a lot of courage to pick up the phone and set up a few appointments with you. And you're like, oh, I don't want to let them down. But really, at the end of the day, it's good to refer on to somebody that's more suitable, or, highlight.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So you were talking there a little bit about distance Reiki. So,
yes.
And obviously this is a great time to be able to develop that, because working with distance Reiki. So it's still as strong, like you can still feel these things coming from the clients.
Yes, for sure. Again, at the start, when I was doing Reiki first, I was like, oh, what's this distant Reiki thing? I'm not sure if it works. So, you test it out with a few friends. And, over the years, I had more clients saying, can I have a distance session, at nighttime? So the more I did it, the more I realized it's similar, very similar to being in the room with somebody. I was like scanning, you set out, as if there's a person in front of you. I was like, oh, I'm feeling in my body a pain in my stomach or in my back or in my knee. I was like, this isn't my stuff. I know it's my client, so I'm definitely tuning in. So then afterwards I'd message, I feel you've had a run and your knees and your body's aching. She goes, yeah, I did a big long run today. And I was like, this wasn't mine. So the more I was doing this Reiki, I realized I am tuning in to the person. And it is just as nearly as same as effective as being in the room with them. And obviously, when you're in a room with somebody, there's a personal rapport, there's a setting, and I can't control it when I'm doing distance Reiki. But, I expect the client to sit somewhere comfortable or lie somewhere comfortable. But when I'm doing it, I feel like I'm tuning in and I am feeling in their body. Like that lady the other day, I felt very nauseous, knowing that it wasn't mine. It was definitely the client. I am definitely tuning in.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, distance Reiki, it took me a while to get into, but now I'm very confident knowing that, yes, I am tuning in and I am working, bringing the Reiki in. And then at the end, clients, and yes, they do feel the difference. Some say I just felt a slight tingling, or others say, yes, I felt a huge shift.
Mm-hmm.
So
mm-hmm.
definitely works.
So just talk me through then what I'd expect if I was doing distance Reiki with you. Are we on the phone? Are we on Zoom?
Well, for some clients, no, how I do it is I would set the appointment at a certain time, and some clients like to have a little chat before the session. So, some people want to give me the background, some people don't. So for the people that do want to give a chat, I'll have a 2-minute chat just before the session, and then I hang up and I ask them to set a timer for maybe 40 minutes. And I get them to turn off their phone or, have it on silent, light a candle, play nice music, and I will spend the 40 minutes sending Reiki to them, working from their head to their feet as I would with a normal session. And then at the end, I will either call if they want, or I'll send a message to them with what I felt, what I picked up, and what I recommend for them. And for some clients have drifted off to sleep and they don't see the message, and they'll message me or email me the next day.
Mm-hmm.
For some, straight away they'd want to have a chat, and others they're happy enough with the feedback and they'll message a little bit afterwards. And then they do report feeling better. But yeah, so if you were to come to me for a session, at the end of it, I will send a message to say I've finished, and then I'll give you some feedback, and then it's up to you whether you want to talk to me or not. And sometimes people are just so tired, they're just like, okay, thanks, bye. And they'll message me the next day. So.
Mm-hmm. I definitely be ringing you for some feedback, because I've had Reiki with you and I love the feedback at the end. So I definitely be ringing you for the feedback.
Thanks.
And would you do a card reading? Sometimes you do a card reading at the end of your Reiki sessions. Would you do that with distance?
Yeah, I do as well. For some clients, they're not into it. For others, I will, shuffle the deck and pick a card and just send it to them. And sometimes they say that really, really matters to me right now, and that was really helpful. So I'll send a card with a lot of text on it so they can read it in their own time, because there isn't enough time within a session, the distance Reiki, to do another explanation. But for some, I will do a card or two at the end just to help. Sometimes people are very stressed, or they're wondering about what's going on with their job or career. Like I have a lot of hairdressers, and obviously in Ireland, the hairdressers are closed.
Mm-hmm.
For some, it's very difficult. For some, it's not, or they're dealing with other ways. So doing a card reading could be just like, showing them another direction to go, or just to reinforce the healing that they've already had. So for me, I do. And some clients are not into it, some are. So it depends.
Okay. So Emma, just tell me a little bit where your business is today and where you are today and how it's working for you.
So I'm based in France at the moment, with the aim, I came here with the aim of trying to do online and distance Reiki, and to do video and Zoom counseling and psychotherapy. So at the moment, it's difficult across the world. It's a pandemic, but I think people are starting to are not so afraid of doing Zoom or distance calls or distance Reiki, which I think 2 years ago people were like, oh, I don't know what Zoom is. But now I think with the pandemic, people are much more comfortable with online and much more comfortable with video, which has helped me, because I've had a few clients who they saw me face to face in Ireland, but moved to Australia. So she rings me regularly for an angel card reading by WhatsApp video. And, she's in another country, another time zone, and that's perfect. I've had clients that were on holidays in Ireland and then went back to Canada or America, and they're still in touch. So we can do a Zoom, a WhatsApp, or a distant Reiki. So I can be anywhere in the world. My clients can be anywhere in the world. So with the pandemic, I think it's just made people more comfortable and confident that this is the normal. This is the new life. This is the way it is. So for me, I get to live wherever I want to in the world. And right now it's France. And it's good. Things have gone in a good way. People are much more comfortable to interact how I want them to interact with me.
Okay, perfect. Just because I know you a little bit, it's a little bit like when you're talking about your psychotherapy journey. It's like, oh yes, I just did a psychotherapy course, but you had a successful business here in Dublin, working out of Donabate and town as well for a while.
Yeah.
And then you just moved to France and made it work in France. Like it was quite brave of you, really, wasn't it? Did you feel scared at the time, or did it feel easy, or was it like really something that you wanted to do, work from a different country?
I think it was always something that was playing on my mind. It kind of, like if you have an idea, it's in the back of your head and you never know when is the right time, or, oh, I'd really love to do that. And it was very much, I really love to do that, but how could that ever happen? In my mind, I was thinking maybe I could move to Greece, maybe I could move to Spain, maybe. And then I was thinking the language barrier, and I was like, oh, I don't know what to do. I kind of had that feeling. And, when I think about it now, it's been 2 years. I can't believe, it's been that long, but, it was an idea, it was something I wanted in my head. And I think just that there was a last minute decision. A friend was moving to France, and I was like, I want to move there as well. We had just been on a holiday here, and she had decided, I'm going to live there. I like it. So I was like, oh, I always had it in my mind that I want to. I was like, don't go without me. So, so I coordinated everything quite quickly over a couple of weeks, and then jumped on a cheap Ryanair flight, and, you just land and you just, make it work. At the start, you don't know the language, because I thought that was going to be a big barrier, because everyone said, oh, you don't speak the language that great. And then when I met other people who were here, and I was asking them, how's your French? And they're like, yeah, I've been here 9 years and it's not great. I was like, oh, okay, I've been here 2 months and it's not great. So it kind of made me think there's a community here. And again, that can make you lazy, but you survive. And I think what's happened is just meeting in with a network of people, and I've met other holistic therapists which have helped, yoga communities, people who love sound baths. So, once you find your people, then it's much easier, and then you find your clients, and that's easier as well.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, sometimes you just have to close your eyes and jump and hope for the best. And you
Yeah.
might stop, but you just keep going. And I'm glad I have made that kind of move. And I'm between two countries until recently, where lockdown has stopped all travel, really.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm. Yeah, brilliant. I just think it's such a great story. It just sounds so exciting, but you've made it work. Like it's just interesting. Yeah, great.
Yeah, it's good to not overthink things. Just jump and go with your feeling.
Yeah. Good. And if you could talk to Emma back in the corporate world before you started Reiki and everything, from where you are now, what would you say to yourself?
You're not in the right place.
Move to France.
I think in the corporate world, I was trying to make it work. And if you've worked with, high stress places, you're trying to be a genuine person. And if you're empathetic, you can feel the tension in a room. It's tough work. So, I was trying to find, how can I fit? Where can I work with these skills? If you're working in a room with 10 men who all have strong opinions, and you're the only woman in the room, and you're trying to just make it a nice atmosphere, and you're like, oh God, I'm in the wrong place. I must be in the wrong place. So I think it was through doing all my different courses, I was thinking, I love doing this work. You don't finish your leaving cert and go, oh, I'm going to be a Reiki therapist, because it just didn't exist.
Mm-hmm,
you just don't know where to go. So you just have to go jump in. And I trained as marketing and advertising, and I worked in all those sectors. So I think I just always had a feeling, is this where I'm meant to be? And where is it? And, tried one job, different job, because like, oh, it doesn't work. But what stayed constant was that feeling, I like Reiki, I like alternative therapies, I like crystals, I like essential oils, I like incense, I like that whole world. And now when I'm doing it and I have clients, it feels good. I was like, this is what I like, this is where I want to be, this is where I should be. But the thing is, there isn't a map in front of you as there is in the corporate world. You just have to make your way off into the jungle, cutting down trees, making your own path. But it feels good, even though it's never a straight path.
Good. Emma, I put up that I was going to talk to you on social media. Oh, yeah. So I do have some questions. And so Janet Pepper wrote on Instagram, what are your top tips for rewiring negative brain spam?
Negative brain spam. So rewiring. So I'm guessing it's the negative talk she's talking about in your own mind.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, the first thing I do, if that stuff is looping in my head, is to get affirmations out. Can read them, but for me, I put my earphones in, I go for a walk, and I listen to positive affirmations. The best ones I listened to were, at the start was Louise Hay, 101 Power Thoughts for Life, and just constantly listen to them until your mood lifts. Mm-hmm. The best mood lifter, I feel, is music, positive music, even just subliminal music. I like to listen to subliminal affirmations that are in music. So there's lots of them on Spotify. Mm-hmm. I like to listen to, I don't know if you know Solfeggio tones. They're like 5 to 8 hertz. If you can Google that, or whoever can Google it. And it's a certain vibration of music. If you just listen to it, it seems to just lift your spirits. So I would listen to music. I change what I'm listening to. I probably turn off the news. I would burn some incense, light some candles. But definitely it's the listening to positive affirmations constantly.
Okay.
Especially feeling a bit low, get outside, get it for a walk in nature, and stick your earphones in and just breathe in positive affirmations.
Sounds good. Sounds like good advice. And then Susan on Facebook asked, why do you use different decks of cards when you're doing your readings?
So when I do an angel card reading for people, I would generally use a deck called Healing with the Angels. Now that's one I trained with, and I like these cards. For me, they're easy to read. They're just pictures with one line of text in it. So that for me helps really with my intuition, and they're really good, like little portals that help me get into it. but sometimes I just need a little bit of extra help. So I'll go to a different deck, like give me more information. Like sometimes I feel like it goes to a dead end with one pack. So maybe I'll pick another pack and then there's more information on another pack. And then I go, okay, I'm bored with that. Oh, that's not where I feel the answer is. So I'll pick up another pack and I'll go, oh, yes, Archangel Raphael has a message, you know. So it depends on the session. And sometimes it's all good in one pack, but sometimes I'll just flip between the packs until I feel I've got the message that needs to come out comes. So yeah.
Okay. That's interesting. Did you work with many different packs when you were training with angel cards, when you were learning them?
The one I would use, it was just one pack, and you know, learning all the signs and symbols. Now it does translate to the other packs, but this one just for me is the one I feel that I get the most from, and it comes through the cards more for me. But again, intuition, I mean, these are just a tool. You can use anything. But for me, these are the ones that seem to resonate with me. So and they're the ones when I'm doing angel card classes, I'll use this deck because it gives the most amount of symbols, colors, you know, when you learn about chakras and symbols and colors and, you know, archetypes, all those kind of things seem to come to me with this deck. So it's the best one for me when you're learning the cards. And then the other ones are good for when you're starting out, because it's got the text at the bottom, so you can go, oh, what does that mean? Oh, it means that. Okay. Yeah, they're, you know, more training. So yeah, it depends on who comes into the room and depends what I feel people need at that particular time.
Okay. All right. Emma, it's been so interesting talking to you today, and thanks so much. It was fascinating. Great, and I'll talk to you again soon.
Thanks a lot, Lynn.
Okay, thanks, Emma. Bye.